Welcome to Passbox, where history comes to life. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the lives of the world. As most influential leaders, James Monroe was born on April 28, 1758, in Westmoreland County, Virginia, into a family that owned a tobacco plantation. He grew up along the banks of the Chesapeake and received a classical education at local academies before entering the College of William and Mary. His early years were shaped by the rhythms of plantation life, colonial politics, and the intellectual currents of the age. When the American Revolution began, Monroe left college and volunteered for military service. He joined the Continental Army as a young officer, fought in several campaigns, and was wounded at the Battle of Trenton. His wartime service forged the patriotism and sense of duty that would define his public life. After the war, Monroe studied law and entered politics. He became a delegate to the Continental Congress and later served in the Virginia House of Delegates. His friendship with figures like Thomas Jefferson and James Madison deepened his political thinking. These relationships would shape the rest of his career. Monroe was an eloquent advocate for the rights of states and for a Republican vision of government that balanced liberty with order. Monroe's diplomatic career began in the 1790s. He served as minister to France and Britain at turbulent moments in European history, witnessing the impact of the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars on American interests. Those experiences gave him a nuanced view of foreign policy, one rooted in Republican prudence, but attentive to American security and honor. In national politics, Monroe became a leading voice of the Democratic-Republican Party. He held numerous important posts: U.S. Senator, Governor of Virginia, Secretary of State, and Secretary of War. His long public career gave him practical experience in diplomacy, war administration, and domestic governance experience he would bring to the presidency. In 1817, James Monroe assumed the presidency, ushering in what historians call the era of good feelings, a period marked by a temporary lull in partisan warfare and a surge of national confidence after the War of 1812. Monroe, as to terms 1817 to 1825, oversaw economic recovery, westward expansion, and the consolidation of national institutions. He toured the country twice as president to promote unity and national purpose, a rare practice at the time. One of Monroe's most consequential acts came in 1823 with his annual message to Congress of a statement that history now calls the Monroe Doctrine. The doctrine warned European powers against further colonization or interference in the Americas, asserting that Western Hemisphere affairs were distinct from European rivalries. Although at the time the United States lacked the power to enforce the policy alone, Monroe's declaration became a cornerstone of American foreign policy and a symbolic assertion of hemispheric autonomy. Monroe's presidency also addressed the explosive issue of slavery and sectional balance. The Missouri Compromise of 1820, signed during his administration, temporarily eased tensions by admitting Missouri as a slave state and Maine as a free state while banning slavery north of the 3,630 line in the Louisiana Purchase territory. While the compromise postponed conflict, it also underscored the deep and growing sectional fault lines that would later erupt into civil war. On the diplomatic front, Monroe achieved important territorial and boundary settlements. Negotiations during his administration settled long-standing border disputes with Britain and secured the acquisition of Florida from Spain through the Adams-Onis Treaty, negotiated by John Quincy Adams. These accomplishments helped clarify the nation's geography and reduced international friction on the continent. Monroe's political style was cautious and consensus-oriented. He generally avoided sharp partisan conflict and sought a geographically balanced cabinet to reflect national unity. But his presidency was not without criticism. His handling of economic policy, relations with Native American nations, and the management of slavery have drawn scrutiny from historians. Still, many scholars rank Monroe above average for his steady stewardship during a formative period in American history. After leaving the White House in 1825, Monroe retired to his Virginia estate, Oak Hill, and continued to remain involved in public affairs when called upon. In later years he reflected on a long career that had spanned the Revolution, the framing of the Republic, and the nation's coming of age on the world stage. He died on July 4, 1831. A symbolic date that linked him to other founding generation figures who passed on Independence Day. James Monroe's legacy is complex. He strengthened the United States' diplomatic position, helped guide the nation through a period of relative calm and growth, and articulated a bold foreign policy principle that would echo for 2 centuries. Yet his era also revealed and resolved tensions over slavery, expansion, and the rights of indigenous peoples that would shape America's future struggles. His life reminds us that nation building is both achievement and ongoing challenge. Thanks for watching this episode of Passbox. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the lives that shape the modern world.